Following that lukewarm Nintendo Direct, Capcom has released a free playable demo for Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection, giving the fans a taste of what's to come ahead of the game's full launch on March 13th. The trial version lets players experience the opening chapters, fully customize their protagonist, test combat systems, and even allows you to transfer your save progress to the final game. For fans of the series or RPG lovers in general, this demo is an early chance to judge whether Stories 3 can build on its predecessors and stand out on the Nintendo Switch 2. There's a chance that this demo is maybe an older build, as there is anecdotal evidence going around that it was performing better recently, but as of right now, this is what I have. So with that said, is Monster Hunter Stories 3 ready to take flight on the Switch 2, or is it currently grounded by a monstrous lack of polish? The demo covers Monster Hunter Stories' opening narrative threads and does an effective job at setting the stage. You arrive in a world of turmoil, two great nations in Azuria and Vermeil teetering on the brink of conflict, while a mysterious ecological crisis threatens the monsters and the natural order. Early events centre on the hatching of twin sky-scale Rathalos, a legendary species thought extinct. Compared with earlier entries in the series, this demo suggests a more serious tone, leaning into environmental collapse and political tension rather than purely whimsical creature collection. Conversations and quest hooks establish a clear sense of place and purpose, and the introduction does a good job at familiarising players with the core role of a monster rider and a member of royalty, without ever feeling too dense. You are joined by Eleanor, a princess who offers herself as a hostage to maintain peace between the two warring nations. The writing feels tighter, and the fact that the main character is now fully voiced adds a layer of emotional weight that was sorely missing in Stories 1 and 2. Progression through the demo doesn't spoil future twists, but it demonstrates that the game's narrative foundation is well laid. You're not just collecting monsties or grinding battles, there's a broader world at stake, and while it's a little tropey at times, it does a pretty solid job at selling the game and leaves you wanting more. The demo kicks things off with a surprisingly in-depth character creator. It's very anime inspired, but honestly, that works perfectly with the game's art style. Character options are split into body type A and body type B, which is what it is. It doesn't really impact the experience either way, and once you're actually playing, it quickly becomes a non-issue. I just don't really understand how this has come into a fantasy game about monsters and dragons. Oh well. From there, the demo settles into a structure that would feel instantly familiar to Monster Hunter Stories fans. At its core, this is a jrpg built around monster collecting. You explore dens, gather eggs, hatch them, and slowly build out a team of monsties that cover different elements and attack types. The combat is turn-based, and you head into battle with one monstie of your own alongside a ranger companion, and you will have the option to swap your monsters mid-fight. The classic rock-paper-scissors system returns, rewarding you for learning enemy attack patterns and countering them correctly. As you fight well, you build up your kinship gauge, and once it's full, you can ride your monstie into battle and unleash powerful combo attacks. You can even chain dual skills with your companion and their monster, each one accompanied by a short, over-the-top anime-style cinematic. Some encounters in the demo felt fairly challenging, but that likely comes down to the imposed level cap rather than any balancing issues. This demo also gives you a small taste of crafting, and it's refreshingly straightforward. You hunt specific monsters for materials, craft new gear, and that steady sense of progression is very Monster Hunter at heart, but it's just a bit more streamlined, so much so that it never feels like busy work. Traversal is another area where the game shines. Your monsties will let you swim through water, climb walls, and glide across the landscape. The flying, though, is much more of a controlled glide than full freedom, relying on wind pillars to keep you airborne. It might feel slightly limiting at first, but it encourages exploration rather than letting you bypass the world entirely. And weirdly, one of the systems I found most enjoyable in the demo was the habitat restoration. By hatching rare monsties and releasing them into regions where they don't naturally appear, you can improve egg quality, expand monster variety, boost loot drops, and even introduce new elemental traits to the area. It's a light management layer, but it adds real depth and makes your actions feel like they have a lasting impact on the world. And of course, we're in a gaming industry post Breath of the Wild, so you have landmark scanning too. You climb towers, mark points of interest, and expand your map. It's a familiar mechanic at this point, but it's handled cleanly and never gets in the way. Was this a thing before Breath of the Wild? I can't really remember anything. Visually, the Stories series has always distinguished itself from its action-oriented siblings. Stories 3 continues this trend with a vibrant, cel-shaded art style that feels both expressive and readable on the Switch 2. It really is an ageless style I'm surprised more games don't adopt. Character models, environments and monsters all carry a charm that blends a cartoon-like boldness with detailed design. And the character designs themselves are varied and interesting. From the world design that we've been shown, the series has transitioned from an almost tribal setting of the second game to a high fantasy medieval kingdom, quite reminiscent of the worlds built in the How to Train Your Dragon series, and I really like it. It definitely makes the game feel like more of an epic adventure. The demo settings vary from open world outdoor terrain to village interiors and combat arenas. In the foreground, the textures are clean and the colours are rich, giving the game a distinct identity. But the environment details and general textures in the distance look extremely low resolution, almost muddy, until you're practically on top of them. This is likely due to a conservative level of detail bias, where the game swaps out high quality assets for lower res versions far too early to keep the frame rate from tanking. It's a classic optimization trick, but on Switch 2 that transition between muddy and sharp is very noticeable, and the texture popping can be a little aggressive. Still, in motion, the designs generally hold together, and the mix of stylized art with ambitious world building makes Stories 3 feel like a living RPG, even in this early slice. And I'd like to believe that this demo is an earlier build, which is a weird decision as a selling point, but it is a possibility. And in regards to the performance, this is where the demo surprised me, and not necessarily for the better. For the most part, the frame rate is pretty erratic. It appears to be unlocked, but depending on where you are in the world, it can jump from 20 to 40, but on average it hovers around 30, and for the most part it sticks around there besides the occasional dip and transitions and battle animations or cinematics. But the unstable variance really does cause some visual stuttering at times. Weirdly, I found this a lot less apparent in handheld. I'm guessing it has something to do with the variable refresh rate that's doing some of the grunt work. But the resolution drops in handheld are significant, and you are greeted by your familiar old friend, the Vaseline smear. It's not awful by any means, but I really thought we would have been past this by now. In the main hub, the frame rate is hovering between 30 and 34 FPS, and for the most part it looks fine, but fast camera movements do hide some of the stutters and resolution issues. And while it's not the most densely populated town, there are NPCs around and a decent level of detail, and on a strictly visual level, it looks brilliant. But the performance does stutter here and there, and it's not what I would have expected on the Switch 2. And as we move into the open world, it's a pretty similar story. There are definitely times when it drops a little, but it's just the same small fluctuations between about 28 and 35 frames per second. And then in combat, this is where the frame rate is the most erratic. Some particle effects on the bigger fights can drop it, but again, for the most part, it's in that same range. I think the combat looks and feels great, and whilst those frame drops actually happen more often in combat, I seem to notice it less. Maybe I was just more engaged, because the art style is so vibrant and the animations are great. It really does play well. But obviously, this is just a demo, there will be new hubs and busier overworld portions, but I do hope this is a demo build of old, because it really should be a smoother experience. There are currently no options to change fidelity or a performance mode, and as far as I know, there are no plans to. So yeah, for now, we can just hope. But the uncapped frame rate is not doing the game any justice. They need to boost it to 60 or cap it to 30. The Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection demo delivers a strong narrative setup and shows creative expansion of the series. Character customization and early combat feel rewarding, and the world's introductory themes of nation conflict, monster extinction, and kinship bonds give the game a distinct personality that's very welcome. Visually, it captures the series' charm, but clarity and performance feel uneven, and at this stage, on the Switch 2, it should be better. The performance is the biggest sticking point. It's consistently inconsistent. I personally believe that this is an older build and that the final release will run better, but it does raise the question, why wouldn't you want the best representation of your game out there? That said, I will always respect a studio for releasing a demo at all. It should be an industry standard. If you believe in your product, let players try it. If you're on the fence, this demo is absolutely worth downloading, especially since progress carries over to the full game. For long-time fans, it's an exciting glimpse at a more ambitious Monster Hunter stories. For newcomers, it's a chance to see if the jrpg structure and Switch 2 performance meet your expectations. Even with its technical issues, this demo sold me. I put around 10 hours into it, cleared everything I could, and genuinely loved my time with it. I'll be eagerly awaiting for March 13th. Let me know in the comments if you've tried it or what you think. It's going to be a controversial one regardless, but at its core, it's a good game. If you aren't going to be picking this one up, let me know what you're looking forward to. But with that said, thanks for watching, stay cozy, and yeah, I'll see you around.